we're still working as a society on accepting that it's not a victim's fault that they're abused by an intimate partner any more than it's a bank teller's fault that they choose to work with money that they're getting robbed. One's absurd, the other should be just as absurd. It's like 25 years ago, driving under the influence was not socially unacceptable. Today, driving intoxicated because of the deaths that have been caused for it is now unacceptable. It's not funny, nobody ignores it, and there's serious consequences. We are yet to get there with partner violence, stalking, domestic violence.
Shortly after I got a restraining order, my husband came to work and assaulted me in the parking lot in front of some of my patients. And I went to the court system and said, I have these papers and you're supposed to protect me, and this is what happened, and how can I keep this man away from me? And pretty much it fell on deaf ears.
30 years ago, we didn't even have a stalking law in the books. If a victim were describing stalking behaviors, the officer investigating the case is probably not even going to recognize any type of a dangerousness of this perpetrator, because it had no label, it had no name.
Before I left there, I took everybody's name and I said, I may not be here tomorrow, and if something happens to me tonight, I want everybody in this city and the state and the country to know that I went through the system the way it was described to me for help, and you're telling me you can't help me.
When we conducted business in that manner, all we've done really is make it even worse, because we've taught bad lessons to both people, the victim and the perpetrator. We've taught the perpetrator that he can assault the victim and get away with it because the police aren't going to do anything. We have taught the victim that there's no use in calling the police, because when we get there, we may take a report, but we're not going to do anything about it. We were re-victimizing victims and didn't even realize it.
Need both parties to raise their right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, so help you God? One of the cases that I learned very early on from was a case when I was still a prosecutor, and I had prosecuted an individual for assaulting his then wife. The parties divorced. She had a significant facial injury. He was given probation because he didn't have a significant criminal record, and a condition of his probated sentence was that he have no contact with her and that he remain 1,000 feet away from her. 6 months after he pled guilty to that misdemeanor assault, she came back and filed a violation indicating that he was driving his bus by her house and it was not part of the route. She was having trouble sleeping. She found herself watching out the window.
Has he ever threatened to physically harm you?
He's gotten in my face before. He's told me that he was going to kill me and himself.
The court found that there was no impact or injury to her, and so the court scolded him and told him not to do that anymore, but gave him no consequences for that behavior. The lesson for me on the injury to victims who are stalked is just how it was more traumatic for her to see that yellow school bus driving by the window of her living room in the afternoons than it was when he punched her in the face. So I think what it challenges us to do is to rethink that a physical assault is more serious than the traumatic impact of stalking. I really believe that we have a phenomenal statute in Kentucky, but I still struggle with the failure of the system as a whole to understand the dangerousness of stalking behavior and the tool that's been provided to them with a stalking statute. Respondent is engaging in stalking behaviors and has threatened the safety of the petitioner. I'm going to issue the protective order. You're not to have any additional contact. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. This relationship is over, and she has a right to choose not to be in this relationship. And you're threatening, you're stalking, your abusive behaviors, and although you haven't been physically abusive, you've engaged in behaviors to design her to be in fear if she doesn't return to the relationship. We always hear we need better laws. That's a cop-out. We need enforcement of the laws that we have. The lack of intervention is what empowers perpetrators, and that's what makes it dangerous. Domestic violence, stalking will increase over time in both its intensity and its severity if there's not intervention.
We need help with the court system. You have to understand, we're living in isolation, and we're living in an area that we don't share this with other people. And when we reach out to somebody to tell the story to the legal system, we really are doing it because we can't figure it out on our own. We can't find the right help. So if we've taken that step and reach out to the court system, please listen to us, protect us, make us safe.